here.
Yeah, we get all the pretty colors of fall, but without, you know, the freezing cold.
Yes, yes.
Hello? Hello? I hear some people chatting very nicely, but I'm sorry to give a nice conversation. But I'd like to start the webinar. So welcome. I'm Dr. Paula Berman. I am the Director of Admissions at the school. I'm also on the faculty. And I know there are a number of people joining us this morning, and some of them are local and some of them are from other parts of the country and other parts of the world, and I want to welcome you all. What we're going to be doing this morning is going through a short series of slides and introducing you to the school and the program and programs. And if you have questions, we'll have opportunities. Well, you know, a number of times I'll ask if there are any questions. Please feel free to ask your question. I think there's also a capability of typing in your question. So if you're more comfortable with doing that, just type it in and we can respond to it that way. And if people don't have any questions now, I can begin the presentation.
I have one question. I tried to log in. I'm sorry, my name is Chandra Carswell.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm trying to log in online also, and it looks like it's just loading. It says the meeting is starting, but
so you don't see the presentation, is that it?
No, the GoToMeeting window is open, and like I said, it just says the meeting is starting. It's just loading. I don't know if it's my internet or what. I thought I had a pretty good internet connection.
Oh, that's not good. But you know what I'm going to suggest? We can maybe continue, and then we certainly can send you a copy of the slides at the end of the presentation. I hope it loads for you. But
okay,
you could send you a copy of the slides afterwards.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm assuming other people are okay. Is that true? Or is everyone?
Actually, I'm sorry. My name's Louise Bennett, and I was wondering if a copy of the slides could be sent to me because I have to do this on my cell phone today.
Oh, sure.
So I'm online.
Why don't we just say that we will send a copy of the slides to everybody? Because
all right.
Well, are other people able to see the slides? I'm just curious about that. Those people who are logging in from the laptop or whatever, is everybody? Oh, I'm getting some messages that everything's good. Okay. Some people are not having a problem, but we will send it to everybody. Okay, so let me start off by telling you a little bit about who we are and what we do. We've been around for a long time, since 1973, so it's not as if we're the new kids on the block. We've been here actually at this location in Brookline for almost 50 years. And when we were founded, as well as now, we have kept to our mission. And our mission is really to use our understanding of unconscious dynamics to help solve problems of emotional suffering and destructive action. In this way, we help individuals, groups, and communities free their energy to live more satisfying lives in cooperation with others. And I think as you hear this morning about the specific programs we offer, you will see how they speak directly to this mission and help us move this mission forward. So as a graduate school, we teach our students to actualize this mission personally and professionally by bringing psychoanalysis to bear on individual, social, and cultural problems. I know that's all kind of a mouthful, but I think it's important to understand really how we do meet this mission throughout our programs. So with this mission in mind, we have very small classes, and as a result, we have very close ties to our faculty. Our student-faculty ratio is about 2.5 students to every faculty member, so that's one way that we really keep in touch with if we're on target with our mission and being close to our students. Our classes are also very diverse. Even though they're small, we have a very diverse student body. We have people of color, 29%, international, 22%. These numbers vary semester to semester, but I think that it's a place where you'll see a lot of different types of people from a lot of different backgrounds, different ages. It's a good blend, a good mixture. We have two tracks of programs at BGSP. We have a clinical track and we have the social consciousness track. So for the clinical track, those are training programs that focus on individual and group dynamics, and they lead to a practice in mental health counseling or clinical psychoanalysis. So those people who are joining us today who are interested in becoming therapists, this is the track you might be most interested in hearing about. We have another track at BGSP. It's the social consciousness track. These are interdisciplinary programs that focus on social and cultural dynamics. And this track leads to practice in human rights and social change organizations. So I want to say, some of you may know this, some of you may not. We have just announced a brand new program within this track. And it's the social justice and human rights track, and it is being headed up by Dr. Stephen Soltz. He is the director of that program. And he's actually able to join us this morning, and we're going to start by having him speak directly to what this new program is all about.
Hi. Hello, folks. I'm very pleased to be able to talk to you about this new program. We didn't know if we would be able to do this. We actually just got it approved 1 week ago today. It had to go through the state bureaucracy, and they had till next month to do so. So they approved it. So we couldn't talk about it publicly till then. So we're very excited. It's a master's program in social justice and human rights with a psychoanalytic focus. So by that broadly mean that you teach people about social justice and human rights, about change strategies, etc., but always aware of the individual and group dynamics that can both contribute to the problems that we're trying to address and that can sometimes be impediments to change. I would argue that no one witnessing our election in the U.S. This year can claim that psychological factors are not a major part of understanding what's going on in our world, and also a major potential impediment to changing things. The program, next slide. So we're visualizing this program as one for different groups of people, several groups of people, recent college graduates looking for doing socially relevant work, to get some background that we hope will make them competitive for jobs in the field, for those already working in social justice, nonprofit, governmental sectors who are looking for further education in their area, and others interested, for example, those interested in a second career in this area. For example, I was describing the program to an attorney friend of mine who said, "Oh, that's so wonderful. Maybe I should enroll." So this, as far as we know, this program is unique. You'll find, if you look, there are other programs around the country on social justice and or human rights, or the combination. There are small number of programs, but this is the only one that we know of that includes a focus on psychodynamic issues involved, that will teach you not just about how individual issues and problems and group issues and problems can either impede or contribute to success in change efforts. and especially an emphasis on unconscious influences on social behavior. Part of what we as psychoanalysts do is we pay attention to things that people are unaware of or disown about themselves that are expressed in their behavior, in their attitudes toward others, etc. So examine issues around a number of issues such as gender, race, psychopathology, social violence, etc. And we want it to be a very practical program, so be a strong emphasis on social change strategies and tools for effective activism, research tools for helping with policy formulation, and skills in organizational leadership and understanding organizational dynamics, all of course within a multicultural society that we have today. So I'm the director of the program, and let me just tell you a little bit about myself because I think it comes out of my experiences. I'm a long-term social activist going back many more years than I think I'll tell you today, but especially in the last decade, have been very involved in efforts to remove psychologists from roles in torture and other abusive national security interrogation roles. We've had a large battle in the American Psychological Association for the last decade, which I played a pivotal role in. We had success in changing their policies and exposing some of their actions in the last couple of years. I've also been president of Psychologists for Social Responsibility, an organization of mental health people who are concerned about how to use their mental health skills and knowledge in contributing to social change. So, and we've pulled together a very, I think, a great faculty of psychoanalytic faculty who will teach about unconscious dynamics and group resistances, and faculty from a wide range of relevant social and behavioral sciences, humanities, and law, who are in many cases leaders in both integrating academic rigor with social change and human rights advocacy, in both view this both in terms of grassroots organizations and in terms of the nonprofit and governmental sectors. For example, I've been a consultant to many government agencies and at times used my psychoanalytic understanding in ways that they were often unaware of to try and resolve problems that they were having. It's a 2-year master's program if you take it full time. There's going to be a internship, 2 semesters of internship in some pardon me, social justice or human rights agency or grassroots organization. We want to make sure that people have real practical experience so that when they go on the job market, will help be attractive to potential employers, and you'll have a sense of what to actually do. There's also a experiential group that you would be in for 3 semesters that will give you a personal experience of the kind of what happens in group dynamics and how this works out. And then in the 4th semester of that, what we've designed is there'll be a reading of literature on group process and then a discussion of what you folks have gone through in those previous 3 semesters of group process. And there's also a master's project, which can either be a more traditional master's thesis, research paper, or some other type of project related to social justice and human rights, designing a pilot program, creating an advocacy project, or a video, film, website. These be worked out on an individual basis. Yeah. Are there any questions? I'm going to have to leave in a few minutes. So if you have any questions on this part of it, you get a chance to ask them.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Solz. So this is Dr. Paula Berman again. I'm back, and I'm now going to be talking about the other track of programs that we have and that we offer, and those are the clinical degrees. And I'm going to briefly go through each one here to help you distinguish one from another, because in this track we actually offer quite a few degrees. And then in later slides, I'll be talking more in an overarching way about the benefits of these programs as it relates to some other programs of study, potentially at some other schools. The first program that I've listed here is the Masters in Mental Health Counseling program. And this is a license-eligible degree. It's a degree that once you graduate, you will have met all the academic requirements for the state of Massachusetts for the Masters in Mental Health license, Masters in Mental Health license, counseling license. For those people who are interested in that degree, that's available, but I want to say as a subset of that, you can also simultaneously specialize in addictions counseling, and if you do, then you'll also qualify to be a licensed addiction counselor. And you can also, if you're interested, specialize in the child and adolescent work. And some people who are interested in working with that population do that. So that is the Masters in Mental Health Counseling degree. We also, very confusingly, offer a Master's in Psychoanalysis. And I say it's confusing because people always want to know, what is the difference between these two programs? The major difference is that one is license eligible and one is not. But 90% of the classwork and the coursework is exactly the same. In the first one, in the Masters in Mental Health Counseling, you'll be doing an internship and you will be having some classes that are required by the state for the license. For those people who are not interested in having that license, they would just go into the Masters in Psychoanalysis. They'd go through 90% of the same stuff, but they won't have that internship and they won't have that any special class required by the state. You might ask, well, who wouldn't want the license? Because it's a very practical degree and a very practical thing to have. The people that go into the Masters in Psychoanalysis program traditionally have either been from other countries and they want to go back to their countries and practice in their countries, and their countries do not require a license, or they're people who want to really get into the doctoral level program as fast as possible. And that's their primary area of interest, is becoming a certified psychoanalyst. They're not interested with the license associated at the master's level. They might already have a license. So that's kind of the difference between those two programs. Both of those programs are building blocks into the Doctor of Psychoanalysis program, which I'll talk about when we get to that one, which is the last one listed. But before we get there, you'll see two other programs offered, and they're both CAGs. CAGs stand for Certificate of Advanced Graduate Studies. That is a degree. It's a Certificate of Advanced Graduate Studies. Both of those require that you already have a master's. So we offer a CAGs in psychoanalytic psychotherapy very frequently. Well, it's not very frequently, it's always, because we require that in order to get into that particular CAGS program that you already are a clinician. So this program is for clinicians who are interested in learning more about how to work in depth with patients. They already have a private practice and they want to learn more about how to work in a different way with their patients, and maybe a more satisfying way. The other CAGS program is for people who are interested in learning more specifically. They maybe are clinicians, maybe they're teachers, but maybe they're art therapists. They want to learn more specifically how to work with children. Okay, so the last degree here is the Doctor of Psychoanalysis. Every single one of the degrees that I just spoke to lead up to or can be a building block into the Doctor of Psychoanalysis program. So the master's programs really are the first part of the doctoral program. The CAGS program is actually a jump into the second part of the doctoral program. What does one get if they get a Doctor of Psychoanalysis? They get two things. They get to call themselves a doctor when they graduate, but actually more interestingly, maybe and more importantly, they become certified psychoanalysts. In all the other degree programs we have, when you graduate, you can be a therapist, you can be a psychotherapist, you can call yourself a mental health counselor, and you can say that you practice psychodynamically or you practice with a psychoanalytic orientation. But you cannot call yourself a psychoanalyst. When you come out of the doctoral program, which focuses only on psychoanalytic training, then at the completion you are a certified psychoanalyst and you can say you are a psychoanalyst. Okay, are there any questions on these programs? Yes, there are. Can I see the question? People are typing in their questions, so I'm just going to read it out loud. The first question I have is, can a graduate from master's program on anthropology apply directly to the Doctor of Psychoanalysis program? Okay, so I assume someone here who's joining us today already has a master's in anthropology. And the answer to that, I'm happy to say, is yes. That person can apply directly into the Doctor of Psychoanalysis program. We also have another question about I think another question, no. I think that might be that question. So we're going to go.
May I ask a question?
Oh, please do.
May I ask a question?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm interested also in the accelerated PsyAD. You didn't speak of that one, so I just wanted to have information on it. I'm already a practicing licensed mental health counselor and was interested in that one.
Okay, no, thank you for asking that. You're right. I did not address that particular program, and here's why. For that particular program, it is for people who are already certified psychoanalysts. So it is really just to get these certified psychoanalysts who have been working in the field and practicing psychoanalytically to do some research with us and to hang out with us for a while so that they can then call themselves a Doctor of Psychoanalysis. They already are certified psychoanalysts. But let me address your particular background. It sounds like from what you said, you already are you have a master's in mental health counseling. So you...
Yes, I have 2 master's degrees, and one is in mental health counseling, and I've been practicing for 20 years.
Oh, very good. So what you might be interested in doing is applying to the doctoral program, and you wouldn't be going into the accelerated program, but you'd be coming in as an advanced standing candidate. We would take a look at all of your prior coursework and we would try and transfer as much of it as possible so that when you enter in the Doctor of Psychoanalysis program, you're starting with a bump up. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Does anybody else have any other questions? Yes. Is BGSP the only graduate schools that gives doctoral degrees of psychoanalysis in the United States of America? And I'm going to answer yes, because I'm not aware of any other one that gives that degree. Might there be one? Potentially. There might be one in California. Sometimes this pops up once in a while. I'm not 100% sure of that. I can say that if we're not the only one, we're one or two. That one I think is probably the most likely answer, potentially. But Here we are. Another question. To what extent is the psychoanalysis readings and materials integrated within the social justice program? That is a very good question. Dr. Soltz has unfortunately left us, but I'm going to jump forward and say psychoanalytic classes are required in the social justice program. There are core required psychoanalytic theory classes integrated into the curriculum. Another question has just come in. The beginning of the doctoral program is the same as the master's in counseling? Yes. Or does the master's focus more on particular classes outside of the analytic focus of the doctorate? All right. I love that this question got asked, and I actually think it's going to bring me to the next slide. Unless there's another question before. Let's hold off on that question, and I'm going to answer a few others. What is the duration of the doctoral psychoanalysis program? I think that if you want to think about the doctorate program and you do not have a prior master's degree, you want to think of spending at least 7 years with us. You'll love every minute of it. Well, maybe not, but it will be 7 years. Okay. Also, will you be talking about what each degree will allow a graduate to do? Yes, I will. What is the difference between, well, let me talk about this now. So I'm going to read the whole question. Will you be talking about what each degree will allow a graduate to do in terms of practice, and what's the difference between practicing as a doctor versus practicing as a master's in counseling? So this is actually, unfortunately, a complex answer. So first of all, our master's graduates, I'll start with them. Most of them, unless they already have a license or whether they're going back to their countries that don't need a license, get the license to practice at a mental health, they get a master's in mental health counseling license. What does that mean? That means they can start their own private practice and practice under that license. That license allows them to bill third parties in order to get reimbursed. What does that mean? It means it's easier to build a private practice because you don't have to find people who only will private pay you. You'll be able to hang up a shingle, say you have a master's in mental health counseling, say you are licensed, and if you choose, and if your patient chooses, they can use their insurance companies to pay you. So it's a very practical entry into the field. Many of our graduates do that. They get the license, they hang a shingle, they start seeing patients, they use their license. They also work in clinics. Many clinics require that you have a license in order to see patients in a clinic. Once again, therefore, it's a practical degree. Well, what about the doctorate in psychoanalysis? What then does that give you towards your career that you haven't already attained at the master's level? You'll be able to say that you're a psychoanalyst. You will understand how to work with people at a very deep level. You will have a very successful practice because you're going to know how to work with a broad range of people in a very sophisticated way. However, and you'll be able to call yourself a doctor, and your patients can call you a doctor. However, there is no license for psychoanalysis in Massachusetts. There's no license in any other state but New York and Vermont in psychoanalysis. So it's kind of like a two-tiered approach to a career. The first one is getting your license, letting you start a private practice, but you can't yet say you're a psychoanalyst. But if you want to learn how to work with people psychoanalytically and focus just on that, then you are going to say, okay, I want that doctor of psychoanalysis in my private practice. Maybe I'll private pay, maybe I'll use my license, but you'll have an option, but you will be able to say you are a psychoanalyst. I think I answered the question. But I'm going to go back to the other question, which is in the master's program, Do you focus on psychoanalytic studies or is it some other thing? So our Master's in Mental Health Counseling program, and that's going to take us to the next slide. Whether you're at the master's level, we do combine a practical degree, which is the Master's in Mental Health Counseling, with a unique psychodynamic approach to learn how to work with people at the deepest level. So at the master's level, you are going to get exactly what other masters in mental health counseling programs require that you get, but you're going to get it with a different orientation, and that orientation is the psychodynamic approach. It is integrated into every class at the master's level. It prepares you to go off and have a psychodynamically oriented practice. It also prepares you to be ready to come into our doctoral program to become a psychoanalyst should you choose. So within this training, we provide you the tools required to work successfully with a very broad range of people. Many mental health counseling programs will not help you work through some of the issues that might come to you from people who might have a psychosis, who might have borderline personality disorders, who are at very regressed stages of their functioning. You will learn at the master's level here how to work with that group of people. You will learn how to work with depressed people. You will learn how to work with everyday neurotics. You will learn how to work with a very broad range of people with a very broad range of problems. That's because of this psychodynamic approach that we're bringing to the table. The other thing uniquely that we do here, which is part of the master's program, is that you will be in your own analysis here. It is required as part of the program. It will help you gain a fuller appreciation of your own emotional dynamics. We believe that is the cornerstone of helping you understand how to work with others. That's another uniqueness of our program. Because we have this psychodynamic approach integrated into a Master's in Mental Health Counseling program, you will have more clinical exposure than any, I can almost guarantee, any other Master's in Mental Health Counseling program you will go into. Why is that? It's because we provide for you the internship placement required by the state in order to qualify for the license. But we also are going to put you in a field work setting to start working or being exposed to the types of patients I just explained, these very regressed psychotic patients. You're going to get exposure to a broader range of people because we put you in 2 placements. So when you graduate, you will have more clinical exposure and training than any of the other schools because they just will put you in an internship. We're going to put you in a field work and we're going to put you in an internship. As a result, we can happily say that 94% of our graduates are either employed in the field currently after they graduate, or they take our degree and they continue with a higher degree, either here or at another school. Are there any questions on any of that? Okay. Is there the chance of enrolling in both the social justice degree and mental health counseling program? Given the history of our school of being so flexible and trying to meet the needs of each student, I would say you probably could. The practicality of that, I don't know. And it's something I'll bring to Dr. Soltz's attention, that there might be people who are interested in applying to both. And we'll see if that's the case, how we could accommodate it.
Can I ask a question? Do you have, you don't have distance learning yet, do you?
We do not. And let me explain why we don't, other than any technical issues that there might be. We actually require in our programs that students are here, and we actually only allow 2 excused absences. This is a place where we want you here, we want you to be seen, we want to get to know you, and we want you to get to know us. We're all about relationships. We're all about the dynamics of relationships. They happen in the classroom. They happen with the faculty. They happen, we believe, best in person. So if you want this particular type of training, in person is really, we believe, the only way to go. We are pursuing online training or distance learning for people who are already trained psychoanalysts who understand the nature of the beast and want to go for what someone had asked for earlier, the accelerated doctorate. But it's only for people who already understand the nature of the work we do here.
So here's another question for you. Is the social justice program eventually going to be available in New Jersey?
Maybe eventually, because we do have a sister school in New Jersey.
Yes, you do.
Me too. So whether that social justice program will be available to New Jerseyites, I'm not sure, but it's possible because we're related. But right now, we're just launching it here in Boston next fall, 2017. What do you think?
Sounds great. Thanks for that.
Okay. Another question. For international students, does BGSP provide scholarships for the doctoral program? I would say, like most schools, the answer is going to be no. We do not provide scholarships, actually, either for international or non-international students. I'm getting a lot of thank yous. That's good. Any other questions? Is there any difference of focus in the master's and counseling program between the different campuses? If I go to New Jersey, will the education be less focused on analysis? No. If you go to New Jersey, which is also an analytic institute and an analytic school, you will get the same focus on analysis. As I believe it, it's the same. It's exactly the same. And I believe that degree is also license eligible in New Jersey. We also have this program in New York. We have a master's in psychoanalysis in New York. It is not license eligible. The reason for that is psychoanalysis is license eligible in New York. So people who want to get a license can get the license in psychoanalysis in New York, and they don't have to get the license at the master's level. Another question. I'm participating in the webinar from South Korea. Welcome. It is more likely to get accepted to BGSP if I get a higher TOEFL score than 80. I would say as long as you have 80 and above, your chances are the same. We actually have a student this semester who has joined us from South Korea. So you won't be alone. Well, you won't be alone anyway, but you'll have someone else here from South Korea. Since this school is focused on psychoanalysis, do students still learn about other theories such as CBT, DBT, IFS, etc.? There is exposure in the general counseling classes to these other modalities. You will get exposure to them. They will be talked about. They will be explored. And we have to do that in order to qualify for the state requirements. But the main focus, unequivocally, is going to be psychodynamic. We actually think that sometimes, often, it's important to have a tool, a bag of tricks. A bag of tools. I don't know if I want to call them tricks. A bag of tools to help patients depending upon where they're at. So we might be working psychodynamically with a patient who wants very practical homework. They want an assignment. They want to do something that's a little bit more CBT-ish. We're going to do it. We'll explore it. We'll do it. So it's good to have a bag of tools. We're going to go to the next slide, unless we have another question. We have another question. This is a great group. I love these questions. Often we don't get many questions. Is the Master's in Counseling focused primarily on Freud or analyst post-Freud object relations? Is there any ability to focus more directly on Freud or someone like Lacan? So, we are a school of modern psychoanalysis. So we are drive-oriented, we are Freud-driven, and we apply the drive theory and our understanding of human dynamics. However, why we call it the School of Modern Psychoanalysis? There's been a lot of advancements since Freud's time, and there's more of here, I think, a practical, real-world study of the application of this psychoanalytic theory in a modern setting. So although we're going to study drive theory, you're going to study Freud, and yes, we do get exposed to post-Freudians like object relations theorists, etc. You're going to understand how to apply both the Freudian as well as post-Freudian theories in a modern way. Oh, and Lacan. So yes, there's exposure to all of that. We're going to teach you how to work not necessarily 3 times a week or 4 times a week on the couch. Which is the more classical way of applying psychoanalytic theory. We're going to talk about seeing patients once a week on the couch, or once a week not on the couch, or every other week on the couch. We learn here and we study here how to meet the needs of any patient that's coming in and what they can tolerate from a psychoanalytic orientation. And we do have exposure to a lot of these theories. We also work with a broader range of patients than the classical analysts would, or even I think the Lacanians would. We work with psychotics, we work with borderlines, we work with neurotics, we work with the whole range of human condition. So it's grounded in the classical and in the Freudian and post-Freudian theory and thought, but it extends to a modern application of it. Since the focus is on psychoanalysis, what does that look like in terms of potential jobs post-graduation compared to getting a master's in mental health counseling at another institution? Our graduates are extremely employable. We love it because when our students are in these field work placements and in the internships, they are applying what they're learning here in a way that allows them to be actually more successful than the students from other masters in mental health counseling programs, because we're teaching our students how to work with very difficult patients under very extraordinary circumstances. And we have lots of opportunities here from a supervisory standpoint to help our students talk about what's going on and learn how to deal with the feelings that are being aroused and then go back and work successfully in the settings. Our graduates get hired by the places they're placed in, and they get hired by other settings. And although you're right, it's a little different flavor than the other schools, we find that people in these settings that are hiring like the flavor that we're delivering. That sounds fantastic, is what I'm reading. I didn't say that myself about myself, but okay. Let me see. Any other questions? Can I become Bionian after graduating from BGSP? Do I have to practice psychoanalysis only through Spotnitz's theory? Well, you're going to get a lot of readings here from Bion, and you're going to learn a lot about what he has to offer, which is a lot. But we're not Bionians, and we are Spotnitz-like. We are modern psychoanalysts. So I would have to say you don't have to practice any way you don't want to practice, but I think you will be more equipped to practice modern psychoanalytically. But we really incorporate a lot of Bion's theory into our modern psychoanalytic understanding of human behavior. Okay, I think we might be ready to go on to the next slide, which kind of addresses some of the questions that have already been asked. What happens to our graduates when they graduate? And I'm going to focus primarily on the masters. Our master's students all get hired in clinics. That's where they do their 2-year postgraduate requirement for the license. They get those jobs. There are lots of those jobs, and they get them. Once they get their license, if they're on that track, they establish private practices. They can work in clinics. They can also work in schools. We have a school-based program. A lot of our graduates end up working for the schools, working with kids. Many of our graduates also, while they're working towards their license, while they're in the field, enter our doctoral program and continue their studies with us part-time to further their understanding of psychoanalysis, and because they're interested in practicing as a psychoanalyst. So they're working and they're studying is what our graduates do. Who teaches our classes? This is also another differentiator from any program you're going to be in. I would say with almost exception, every class is taught by a practicing psychoanalyst. All our faculty are working with their own private practice, or they're working as supervisors, or they're working as clinicians in mental health agencies. So it's not just an academic ivory tower kind of place where you're going to be reading a textbook and just learning from somebody who's been in a classroom for 20 years. You're going to be learning from someone who's been in a classroom and has had a private practice and is working in clinics and is supervising and is running clinics and are running clinics. So it's very good. Also a lot of experience in substance abuse. Another question. Oh, no. I have a question about, I have a bachelor's degree and familiar with other modalities, treatment modalities. How likely would I be accepted in this program, not having a lot of understanding of the psychodynamic approach? We expect that most of the people coming into the program will not have an understanding of the psychodynamic approach, and this is the place that they're coming to get that understanding. We have people from all different kinds of backgrounds. Clinicians, maybe the person who just asked this questions, who was interested in learning another modality. We have lawyers. We have people who have never worked before. They've just graduated with an undergraduate degree and they want to launch their career. We have people who have been opera singers, engineers, you name it. I just met with somebody who's applying. She's a dog trainer. She had an undergraduate degree in history. She wants to be a mental health professional. She's interested in psychoanalysis. We do not expect that there be any prerequisite courses or any prerequisite understanding of what we're all about. We expect that you're coming here with a curiosity to learn about this. So there's a good chance you might be accepted. Does BGSP offer housing or housing assistance? We do not offer housing, but I'm happy to say we have a very strong student association and with a great president who is very actively involved in helping students who are coming from other countries and other parts of this country to help set them up in housing. There's lots of housing. We're right near Boston. So there's a lot of apartment rental opportunities with other students, with strangers, or with yourself. Depends on how you want to live. Is the GRE required? No. No GRE. How can we know about the cost of study and the available scholarships? The good news is if you go up to the website and you look under admissions, there is a whole section called tuition that you can go into, and it will tell you exactly how much it costs to study here. There are spreadsheets that have been developed that will show you, depending upon which program you're in and how long you're going to be here, how much it's going to cost. And it calculates in cost of living expense, cost of credits, cost of supervision, cost of the analysis. It's all there for you. We do not have scholarships, so that isn't going to help you with that. We do have a woman, her name is Stephanie Wilbert, who is an expert in financial aid, and many of our students take out student loans, and you can contact her. She's in the admissions department as well, and she can help you navigate through that process. So let's go to the next slide, which I think is the last. Oh, no, it's the next to last. It's all about admissions. No, there's no GRE. No, we do not require specific GPA for admissions. So what do we require? There's two pieces of the application process. There's a paper and pencil piece, and there's a human piece. The paper and pencil piece is first. It's the application. It's the $100, I think, fee with the application. It's your transcripts. It's 3 letters of reference. It's an academic writing sample or a writing sample if you don't have an academic one, and a 1-page statement of interest. Once we receive that, we'll take you to the next human phase. If we think that you meet those requirements, you will be asked to come here for 3 interviews. And this is an opportunity for the prospective student to really get a feeling for what this school is about, what it's like to be here. You will be sitting with 3 separate faculty members, so you'll get a feeling for who it is that will be teaching these courses and what that's like. And we'll get a feeling for whether we feel this is the right place for you, whether you seem to have a therapeutic personality that would be good for you and good for your patients, so that we would have an opportunity to accept you if we thought so and get you going into this process. So it's really the admissions interviews that we think is the meat of the program, both for the person coming in to evaluate us and for us to evaluate whether it's a good match. We do everything on a rolling admissions basis. So once your paperwork is in, whether it's in January, February, March, it doesn't matter to us. We process it, we look at it, we see whether or not we think you meet the requirements. Then we ask you in for interviews. It's not on a specific date or in bulk. We do it all individually as it comes in. We do suggest 2 priority deadlines. Those are primarily very important for any international students because it takes time for the visas. But if you really want to make sure there's time for us to process your paperwork, have the interviews, and as I said, particularly deal with the visa process, then if you're interested in our spring deadline, our spring class, I should say, which starts in February 2017 is our next incoming class, then it would be best if you had everything, all your paperwork in by November 15th. If you are interested in joining us in September of 2017, it would be best if you had all your paperwork in by May 1st. Any questions about any of that? How many students are typically admitted? I will say that our class size are typically small. I also want to say we do not get hundreds of thousands of applications. We are not BU. We are not Boston University, or we're not a large school. We're a small school. So it really depends. How many are admitted depends upon how many apply. So it really varies semester by semester. But I do want to say, if you are very interested in this and you look like you can meet and do graduate level writing and studying, and that you have a therapeutic personality, there is a likelihood that you will get in. With that said, not everybody does get in. Many do. Is there a possibility to get the application fee waived? No. If you can't pay the application fee, I don't know how you're going to afford to come to school. I don't know of the application fee actually gets applied to the tuition. No, it doesn't. It is in our interview process, and our application process is not trivial. It is an opportunity for us to really get to know each of our applicants. We spend time on the applications. We spend time with our potential candidates. It is a meaningful process. $100 is not a meaningful fee for the amount of time we put into this process. If I applied to the New Jersey campus, I assume I would be visiting that campus. Correct. You do not apply to us. You, in fact, should really contact them, and they might want to meet with you there. Can you tell me what a reference waiver is? I think the reference waiver is part of the application package, and it means that I need a consult on this.
It tells the reference whether or not they'll be viewing the letter.
Whether or not the candidate will be viewing the letter. So the reference waiver tells your reference whether or not you will be reviewing their reference. What does a typical schedule look like for a master's in mental health counseling student during the week? Well, that's a good question because it depends upon the student's schedule. So we let students come here part-time, full-time. You can take 1 class a semester. You can take 5 classes a semester. You build your course of study. So there is no typical what does the day look like. However, what is common is that our classes are given in the evening during the week, and they're given on Fridays. So that leaves a lot of free time during the day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, to do what you want to do. And that'll look like what you want it to look like. You might be working, you might be studying, you might be whatever you do. But our classes are in the evenings and on Fridays. You can take, as I said, as few or as many courses as you desire. Does the spring semester begin in February? Yes. Yes, it snows. And yes, it's winter weather, and it's horrible. But some people like it. How much does this winter weather affect class schedules? For example, do we get snow days? Yes. We don't like them because we really want to be with you, and we want you to be with us. But on occasion, we shut down the school because the whole city shuts down. Welcome to Boston. Yes, so there are snow days. Any other questions?
May I ask a question?
Please.
Yes, I'm still talking about the PhD. I have another question about that. You mentioned starting with advanced standing, but I'm looking online and it says, or enroll in the CAGS. So what would decide which route to go?
So maybe if I understand your question is, do you already have a master's degree?
I have 2 master's degree. I have 1 major and 1 minor, and I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor. And I'm interested in doing the PhD. Just wondering which one, what factors would say I'm in the pre-candidacy or enroll in the CAGS?
Yes, yes, yes. First, I want to say we don't have a PhD. So we have...
Oh, no, it's PsyAD, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, as long as we're talking about the same degree, then we can move forward.
Yes, sorry.
No, that's okay. A lot of that happens. So it almost doesn't matter because the Certificate in Advanced Graduate Study is the beginning program. There's overlap. It's a building block into the doctorate. So if you do the CAGS and you want to stop there, yes, you will say, yes, I have a Certificate in Advanced Graduate Studies, but that's part of the doctoral program. So you can decide at any point which degree it is you want because it's so much overlap, and you qualify to apply to either one.
Okay, and I have one small question. How many years would that be?
The CAGs, depending upon, well, that being which program?
The PsyAD.
The PsyAD. So we'd have to look at your transcripts, and we'd have to see how many we can transfer, how many credits we could transfer in. So it could be, maybe best case scenario, we could transfer in 15 credits. There might be some wiggle room in that, depending upon your particular background. So if you look at the PsyAD program and the amount of credits required for that and subtract out those credits, you'd get a jump start. That's your entry in point. So,
okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go the last, no, I'm not quite yet, but that's okay. You said it takes 7 years to graduate the doctoral without a master's. I think maybe I just addressed that. How many years does it take to graduate with the master's if I study very diligently? Well, this is kind of like having a baby. You can't do it in less than 9 months, having a baby. You can't get through this program faster just because you're taking more courses. There are requirements for analysis. There are requirements of how much time you have to spend with sitting with patients. There's requirements for field work. There's requirements that cross over semesters that take time to add up. So even if you have a clinical master's degree, these requirements need to be met. Some of them might have already been met, but it still takes time to bake the cake. So I think the fastest time that has ever, and this was actually an international student who came in, I believe he went from start to finish in a very intense six and a half years. That's the fastest, and we don't recommend it. That's pretty, that I would say 7 and up. Okay, I'm going to go to the last slide because I think we're running out of time here. So if you have questions, please feel free to continue to have a dialogue with us. That's what we're all about, is talking, so please talk with us. I'm Dr. Paula Berman. There's my email. That's the best email to get to me at. I know some of you, we've already been exchanging emails, so that's great. If you want an individual time, if you're not here and you want to talk or Skype with us, please contact the admissions team. We'll set that up with you, for you. I also want to say, as I mentioned before, we have a very active student association, and we have students and graduates who would love to talk to you about their training here and would love to talk to you about their careers. They're very excited about it, and they want to share it. If you are in town or if you live nearby, please come to one of our open houses, our information sessions. We have a lot of events here that are free of charge, continuing ed events. You can come in and really learn a lot more about what we're all about. Just stop by. We'd love to meet you in person. And unless there are any other questions, I think we're going to end because we are out of time. But if there are more questions, please feel free to contact me or anyone else on the admissions team. I thank you for joining us this morning. It was a pleasure answering your questions and being part of this experience with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.